This week on Ebert and Roeper, mail-order bride Nicole Kidman is more than Ben Chaplin bargained for in Birthday Girl.
Also, John Goodman learns truth is stranger than fiction in storytelling.
We report from the Sundance Film Festival.
And the college comedy Slackers.
This is strange, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Are you a giraffe?
Yes.
Nicole Kidman plays a Russian mail-order bride who arrives not quite as advertised in Birthday Girl. It's one of 5 new movies we'll review, and we'll have a special report from the Sundance Film Festival. I'm Richard Roeper.
And I'm Roger Ebert. Our first movie is Birthday Girl, which gives Nicole Kidman the chance to test her Russian accent after her British accent in the others, and her American accent in Eyes Wide Shut, and kind of a mid-Atlantic accent in Moulin Rouge. This time she's a Russian mail-order bride chosen by a lonely British bank teller played by Ben Chaplin. Now, a lot of guys would be happy to get Nicole Kidman through the mail, but this guy is disillusioned because she smokes and she can't speak English. Still, she has certain skills that she persuades him might make her a keeper. Then her alleged cousin and his buddy arrive from Russia.
Oh, Jesus.
The movie starts out as a romantic comedy, but it turns sort of sour, and some of the material involving the Russian thugs is too nasty to fit in easily with the rest of the film, which wants to be a comedy. There was a movie just a year ago named Last Resort, also about a would-be Russian bride in England, and it really explored the personalities of the characters instead of just manipulating them for the convenience of the plot. In Birthday Girl, I didn't believe any of the characters, not for a moment.
Also kind of reminded me of a movie called Something Wild, which is a much superior film, because you did like the characters, and you're so right about this. The Ben Chaplin guy is such a mope. And this plot, the idea that the Russian cyber bride and her 2 cohorts will find a lonely single banker, and she'll move in with him, and then they show up and blackmail her, and then they get him to rob his own bank, and then they do it all over again. I mean, that's an extremely complicated way for these people to try to make a living, and it's completely ludicrous.
You may have revealed just a few little surprises.
I don't think it, I don't think any of the things are surprises at all. It all happens
Probably
pretty
not.
quickly.
No,
and
one
in fact,
thing at
the
the end is
surprises
that
in this movie are not surprising. They're so telegraphed.
Well, at the end, it goes back and forth until you just get tired of being jerked around because it doesn't have anything to do anymore with the motivation of the characters.
And there's some unfortunate stuff, too, with airport security, and I don't want every movie to be affected by what happened September 11th, but you can't help but think, well, security is a lot different in airports than it is in this movie. So, I mean, a real disappointment. Nicole Kidman was on a roll at Moulin Rouge and the others, and that role has come to a
Yeah, this
screeching
movie
halt.
was made before those 2 movies.
Yeah, well, it's out now, and it's a
got it.
clunker. Okay, our next movie is Metropolis, which borrows the title and some plot elements from the 1926 Fritz Lang classic. But this Metropolis comes from Japan and is in the form known as anime, a visually arresting genre with disturbing and kind of creepy characters moving crudely against stunning and colorfully complex backdrops. It's kind of like a Speed Racer cartoon melded to Blade Runner. The convoluted sci-fi story of this film begins with the construction of the ziggurat, representing the top level of a multi-level society. A powerful industrialist named Duke Red has enlisted the services of a mad scientist to create the ultimate robot child, much to the dismay of his protege.
こんなロボットごときにジグラットのメトロポリスの未来を任せるわけにはバカ者め
Metropolis is based on a comic book by Osamu Tezuka, creator of Kimba the White Lion and Astro Boy. The characters speak Japanese, but they have the weirdly Euro-American features of horrible, big-eyed dolls you might win at a carnival. It's as if Dennis Hopper has taken over the Hello Kitty franchise. The retro future settings are spectacular, but the story I thought was violent and ludicrous, made all the more bizarre by the Dixieland music and the Doctor Strangelove ending set to the tune of I Can't Stop Loving You by Ray Charles, if you can believe it. Now, I know the small but fanatic band of anime lovers will find much to admire in Metropolis, but I found it intriguing but ultimately tiresome, so
I
thumbs down.
love this movie. I loved it. It's probably going to be in my list of the 10 best films of the year.
Really?
It's so visually vibrant and exciting, and things are happening all the time. And that city, the imagination that went into drawing that city and its details, and the stuff that's around the corner or down the street, in the corners of the screen, all fabulous. The story? Basically a science fiction story, easy to figure out if you've seen Blade Runner and Metropolis and AI for that matter. The characters, Richard, anime always uses these big eyes.
Understand that.
And what's interesting is the heroes are like that. The villains are look more like Marvel superheroes.
Yeah.
They have regular features.
But they all
and there's
move
a
about
contrast there.
like, you know, with real crude kind of simplistic
It's not
things.
crude and simplistic are the wrong words. This is a style.
This
is a style.
I think the style, if it's deliberately crude and simplistic,
This
that's
is
fine.
great animation.
But it gets boring after a while. No, the backdrops are great, but the characters themselves are, you know, they kind of move like old-time
you're
cartoon
exaggerating
characters.
how badly.
And they
Now,
kind
come
of
on.
talk in this, you know, real exaggerated style, and the plot is, I thought,
I
boring.
think you have to develop a taste for anime,
you do.
obviously.
Yeah, you do.
And hundreds of thousands of people apparently have it because every video store is filled with anime. This is a great movie. I really love this movie.
It's an interesting genre. It's not for me, and I think it's far from great.
Okay, coming up later in the show, Vanessa Redgrave and Ray Liotta share a fateful summer in Maine in A Rumor of Angels. And coming up next, John Goodman is tested by his family in storytelling.
You're taking those SATs if I have to strap you to a chair. Okay.
Now in theaters, he's brought to you by Orville Redenbacher's Gourmet Popping Corn.
If it hadn't been for Hitler, he wouldn't have had to leave Europe. We would have been European.
In a sense, if it weren't for Hitler, none of us would have been born.
Get the hell out of here.
The logic is unassailable, the comment is unspeakable, the response is comic, and that sort of describes storytelling, the challenging new film by Todd Solondz. After Welcome to the Dollhouse and Happiness, two films that x-rayed the miserable lives of nebbishes and losers, here's a film that turns the spotlight on Solandz's storytelling technique. There are two stories here. The first one features an egotistical and sexual duel between a calculating student and a sadistic teacher.
Do you think I have potential as a writer?
No.
Thank you for being honest.
That's Robert Wisdom as an English professor and Selma Blair as his student. The second section of storytelling is about an affluent suburban family that's the subject of a documentary film. As the young son, played by Jonathan Osser, quizzes the maid, played by the great Lupe Ontiveros, he has no idea how hurtful his questions are.
What did you do in high school?
I did not go to high school.
Weren't there high schools in El Salvador?
We had to work.
Todd Solondz is drawn to the dangerous edge of his material. He picks subjects that demand political correctness, and then he charges in with reckless honesty and offends everyone that he can. You can't stand back. He wants to offend you, he wants to challenge you, and you ask yourself, is he picking on his pathetic characters, or is he revealing how most movie characters are so safe and well-behaved? I think there's a little of both going on. I've seen storytelling 3 times, and I guess my conclusion is this is a film about trying to figure out what we think about the film. Solondz is a daring risk-taker.
He is a daring risk-taker, and I thought a lot about this film after I saw it, and my conclusion was that he is picking on his characters, and I'm giving it thumbs down because of that, because I think he's so interested in challenging us and offending us that he's sacrificing some of the storytelling in each of these films. He doesn't respect these characters, and they don't all have to be likable, but I really don't think he does. The original, the shorter story about the student and the teacher, I mean, she's an idiot. And the scene between her and the professor, I mean, it draws attention to itself by the way he comments on the way you have to censor sex scenes in order to get a certain rating, and it takes you out of the story.
You're talking about the fact that he has to obscure part of the screen with a red box,
right?
Which he did rather than cutting that scene out.
Yeah, but that
which
takes
the
you completely
MPAA
out.
wanted him to do. He's just saying,
Well, if he
look,
really wants
this is
to
what the MPAA doesn't want you to see because we don't have an adult rating.
And there we
in
are
this
again,
country.
once again, outside of the movie, being aware of this guy being, if he wants to be really challenging and offensive, you know what, take the NC-17 and run with it, or don't go for a rating at all.
You can't open the movie with an NC-17.
Well, then he's trying to have his cake and eat it too.
No, I think he should be able to have his cake. I think the MPAA is
But he
censoring people like this by preventing that film from being released the way I saw it at the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah, well, but I think his solution just takes you outside of the film. And the second story, I mean, everybody in that movie is an idiot.
No,
and there's
Lupe
no respect for
Ontiveros
them.
is a very sympathetic person.
Okay, she is. I'll give you that.
She is.
One character
and she
there.
provides a corrective
and she's
for the others.
interesting, but I mean, the way the parents act and the kids and everything, I didn't buy any of it. And if it's supposed to be a satire, I just think it's too broad.
You could say that about Happiness, for example, his previous film. Here, I think he's aware of what he's doing to the characters, and he involves us in the process.
I think he's too aware, and that's why I give it an interesting, but I still give it a 3.
Okay.
Okay, coming up next, Jennifer Aniston plays a not-so-good girl, and Robin Williams delivers his most effectively creepy performance ever in 2 of the high-profile films at this year's Sundance Film Festival.
And looking ahead to next week's openings, we'll review Arnold Schwarzenegger as a firefighter bent on revenge and Collateral Damage.
No!
Marriage gave new meaning to sex for Delia. It was no longer only about power. They really made love in the beginning.
Kira Sedgwick stars in the first part of a trilogy about hard-luck women trying to take control of their lives in Personal Velocity, the winner of the Dramatic Grand Jury Prize at this year's Sundance Film Festival. Director Rebecca Miller's adaptation of her own short stories features sparkling performances from Sedgwick, Parker Posey, and Fairuza Balk, but the film didn't quite match the buzz level of past sensations at Sundance, such as In the Bedroom, Reservoir Dogs, and Sex, Lies, and Videotape. But there was no shortage of quality work.
And you prayed, and you asked Jesus, please let me stop crack. And you know what? He did. Is that what you were expecting? Because you know what, brother? You ain't getting it. That kind of girl don't live in this house. Hello.
The documentary directing award went to Rob Fruchtman and Rebecca Camisa for Sister Helen, the story of a foul-mouthed alcoholic widow who became a Benedictine nun late in life and founded a safe house for addicts in the South Bronx. Friends sweetheart Jennifer Aniston has a breakout role in The Good Girl, a dark comedy about adultery in a dead-end small town.
Quinn says smoking marijuana lowers your sperm.
Lowers it to where?
Maybe every time you smoke a little doobie, you're killing our unborn children.
But I was most impressed by the high percentage of top-quality documentaries at this year's festival, including a series of films about the catastrophes of September 11th and a revealing documentary about rebellious Amish teens, if you can believe it, called Devil's Playground. And we know the Sundance films with the big stars will find a theatrical audience later this year, but for me, the true reward of the festival is experiencing so many memorable documentaries in packed theaters.
You know, I saw some great documentaries, too. Blue Vinyl is about how the vinyl industry is spreading carcinogens around our society. And there was a movie called American Standoff about the Teamster strike against the overnight transportation company. Yeah. And these movies, I was so happy at Sundance to learn that Robert Redford and his Sundance channel are going to start an all-documentary channel.
Yeah, that's right.
Because when you're surfing and you get to a documentary, it's going to be hard to keep going because, you know, even though people won't go to see them in theaters, they are fascinating.
The extraordinary access a lot of these directors have to their subjects. I've never ceased to be amazed by that.
Yeah. Sundance also gives out audience awards based on a weighted vote by the filmgoers themselves. And this year, the dramatic film winner was Real Women Have Curves. This one is a real charmer, the story of a bright Mexican-American high school senior in Los Angeles who is torn between a college scholarship and her mother's desire that she work in the family dressmaking business. America Ferrara, who plays the daughter, and Lupe Ontiveros, once again, who plays the mother, also won the jury prize for acting.
Ni te hagas las ilusiones. You'll never fit into that one. It's a size 7.
Bill, why do you always have to be like this?
I only tell you for your own good.
The audience award for Best Documentary went to Amandla, which traces the liberation movement in South Africa through its music. This movie was a great experience to watch. It's both a powerful political document and a great musical documentary of performances that should inspire a successful CD, just like the Buena Vista Social Club. Another movie I admired was 1 Hour Photo, starring Robin Williams in a brooding, creepy performance as a photo clerk who begins to identify over the years with one of the families that brings in its film to be developed. Behind his deceptively calm facade, he's a time bomb waiting to explode.
What the hell's
If you've been following the Project Greenlight series on HBO, you know all about how Ben Affleck and Matt Damon sponsored a screenplay contest, and you've been following the roller coaster history of the filming of the winning screenplay. Stolen Summer is that screenplay, and the big surprise at Sundance was, despite its rocky times in production, as you can see on Project Greenlight, the movie turns out to be really good. Pete Jones directs his screenplay about a precocious 8-year-old who makes friends with a rabbi and his son. And one of the most talked about films at Sundance was Biggie and Tupac, a documentary by Nick Broomfield with a controversial theory about the murders of the two rap stars. He marshals persuasive evidence that the deaths of both the notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur were ordered by rap music tycoon Suge Knight. Whether he's right or wrong, he succeeds in raising serious questions about the Los Angeles police investigation.
Between 30 and 40 police officers, some of whom are seen here, worked off duty for death row.
The joke at Sundance was that no theater would have the nerve to show Biggie and Tupac because of possible violent repercussions, but maybe that's true. Still, cable could provide an outlet for the controversial documentary, and the most obvious trend at Sundance this year was that the cable networks are playing an increasingly important role in the independent film world.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of these things on HBO and Showtime as well. As you mentioned, the Sundance Channel having its own documentary branch. The most memorable scene of any film that I saw at Sundance was Nick Broomfield showing up at prison where Suge Knight was still incarcerated for an interview that he hadn't scheduled. And even the warden says, well, he's on the phone right now. They show Suge Knight, he's on the phone. The warden goes, let him finish his phone call. And the guy's got a cigar, he's got his walking cane. It's pretty obvious that he's got the run of the place.
Yeah, and
Broomfield doesn't care. He's like, well, you know, and his cameraman is even freaking out.
What's great is the psychology he uses, because he says, Suge Knight doesn't know what this camera is doing there, and he says, I'm here to get your message for the kids. And they go, oh, right, I'll give the message to the kids. I mean, it turns out the message to the kids is, get a good defense attorney.
Yeah, watch out. I mean, it's serious subject matter, but it's really a funny film in its own way. So there's a lot of good stuff.
It's amazing how many of the films that won this year were from places like HBO and IFC and Showtime and Bravo and from ITV from England. And these, you know, as the studios increasingly aim theater pictures at teenagers, these are the outlets that are taking up the burden or the privilege of showing these films for
to our benefit.
Yes.
Okay, coming up next, Vanessa Redgrave helps a boy get through the loss of his mother in A Rumor of Angels.
The angels are all out here somewhere.
Visit our website, ebertandroeper.tv, presented by the Vista Series DVD collection.
Our next movie is A Rumor of Angels, a sentimental poem about learning how to mourn. Vanessa Redgrave is old in this film, not merely middle-aged, but fiercely, beautifully old, and she lights up the screen with her blue eyes and her shock of white hair. Redgrave plays Maddie Bennett, a seemingly crazy old lady living in a dilapidated house in coastal Maine. She mentors a 12-year-old boy who is still grappling with the death of his mother 2 years earlier.
Do you ever talk to her?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Nah, she's dead.
So?
And that's Trevor Morgan as James. Concerned that Maddie has crossed the line with her eccentricities, James's father and stepmother confront her.
There's no horror in death, and the sooner you understand that, the sooner you'll be able to help James. Staying alive is difficult, isn't it?
Ray Liotta and Catherine McCormick are excellent, and I really enjoyed Ron Livingston as James's self-proclaimed weirdo uncle. Trevor Morgan does a lot of emotional heavy lifting, and Redgrave gives another award-worthy performance. There are times when A Rumor of Angels plays like an extended episode of Touched by an Angel, a little too much dancing, a few too many weeping scenes, but I liked its heart and its spirit. It might have been even more interesting had it delved a bit more into Maddie's darker side, but this is an intelligent and sincere exploration of our need to understand and cope with the worst emotional pain in the human experience.
You know, the movie has its heart in the right place, but it beats kind of slowly, and I felt after a while that I was really, you know, seeing this stuff laid on a little too heavy for my taste, and at the end, the business with the lighthouse. You know, why couldn't they have found just an ordinary human ending involving affirmation and faith instead of basically what is a gimmick?
Yeah, I felt that they laid it on a little too thick, and I agree with you about the lighthouse stuff. It could have ended maybe 10 minutes before it did, but the acting is so strong, and I really like the heart of it, so I'm giving it a thumbs up for Vanessa Redgrave and for its message.
I'm giving it a thumbs down, but I agree with you about Vanessa Redgrave. You know, I don't care how old she gets, she's still really
She's
sexy.
a stunner, isn't she?
You know,
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, she has personality. We'll be right back. Okay, recapping this week's movies, 2 thumbs down for Birthday Girl, a split vote on Metropolis, we split again on Storytelling, and another split on A Rumor of Angels. Also opening this weekend is a campus comedy named Slackers, starring Devon Sawa and Jason Schwartzman as rivals for the love of a campus beauty. This movie is dumb, vulgar, and offensive, which I can forgive if it was funny, but it's not funny. I now have my first candidate for the list of the worst films of 2002.
Yeah, you've got one guy who's a stalker, and the other 3 guys are con men, and they're maybe the first movie ever targeted to John Hinckley is about the only person I can see as the target audience. Okay, so I give it thumbs down if I didn't make that clear.
Very wise.
Okay, remember you can hear all our recent reviews at ebertandroper.tv and read us in print at suntimes.com. Next week, we'll be back with the 21st century remake of the classic action picture Rollerball, and until then, the balcony is closed.
I'm going to get back to Metropolis because basically you're penalizing these little kids for looking like all of the characters look in all other cartoons.
They maybe like the characters look in other anime films, and I have a problem with that.
Get over it.
No, if I don't like it, I don't have to get over it. I have to get away from it.
She's your baby. That's why you serve her all-natural Tyson chicken with no additives and minimal processing. Tyson, it's what your family deserves.
New Blistex Silk and Shine with real silk extracts. For the feeling of silk, plus a light glossy shine. Discover what your lips are missing. New Blistex Silk and Shine.
Introducing the best America Online ever. New version 7.0. It's better, faster, and easier.
7.0 is the best.
America Online new version 7.0. Call 1-800-4ONLINE.
We're bringing the great taste of Weiler's to life. Weiler's Light, now with vitamin C.
Closed captioning for Ebert and Roeper is brought to you by...
Jolly time popcorn. Woo-hoo!